Hello, my dear listeners and viewers. My name is Kishore Ganesh, and in this episode of the Vocal About Visuals podcast, I'll be reviewing Netflix's brand new movie, The Thursday Murder Club. The review for which will also be out today, which happens to be a Thursday. The Thursday Murder Club is directed by Chris Columbus, who is a low-key god for kids because he's responsible for the first two installments of both the Home Alone franchise and the Harry Potter franchise. It has a power-packed star cast consisting of Helen Mirren, Pierece Brosnan, Ben Kingsley, David Tennant, and Tom Ellis, among others. It is based on the book of the same name written by Richard Osman. Before I jump into the review, let me tell you that as an avid reader of mystery fiction and particularly British mystery fiction, the Thursday Murder Club series has been on my list of books for a while now. But I guess by the time I got to them, Netflix has managed to finish producing the movie and it is out for everyone to see. But are there any fans of the books who feel that the book is better than the film? Then please do let me know in my comments and in my socials. And the book series is going straight back on my to read list. And with that out of the way, let's start with my thoughts on the movie. The first thing I noticed in this film was a bit of a disconnect between the typical way in which a British mystery begins versus how this movie began. The film begins almost abruptly with the Thursday Murder Club, which is what the trio of stars, Mirren, Brosnan, and Kingsley, call themselves, discussing a cold case. There is no external shot of the structure they are in, nor are there any shots of the wider village. It's straight into the characters and by extension a case. I just wish the writers and the director were a bit more indulgent and began this film in a bit more of a stereotypical way to both Brit mysteries and also to Chris Columbus movies. But that's what we get for our attention deficiency, I suppose. For me, this was a bit of a bummer because I wanted the film to be a cozy watch that was mildly indulgent. Maybe Netflix's budget was not that much, or maybe they blew it all on hiring the Queen, James Bond, and Gandhi. But yeah, I wanted the film to be a bit more indulgent wherein I could settle into the world of Cooper's Chase and its surroundings. Considering the audience is watching this on Netflix, I think we could have definitely afforded some more time in getting to know this universe a bit better. That said, after this initial strangeness, the movie more or less maintains a steady, if not a flat note. There isn't a lot of highs in terms of emotions or drama. Even when the murders happen, there is a certain British stiffness to how the people around the victim react. When there are breaks in the case, there is not much fanfare. In fact, even the reveals don't get much fanfare. If you are someone who takes life at face value a bit straight, I guess this is not a big deal. But if you are someone who looks to cinema for some heightened or exaggerated emotions and situations, I guess the Thursday Murder Club will not satisfy you there. Moving to the mysteries themselves, there isn't much cleverness or twist to them. They are fairly straightforward, and the movie unfortunately doesn't put in much effort into selling the red herrings either. Everything is a bit too convenient, everything falls in place a bit too neatly. Like, for example, when the characters need help, it is readily available. Everyone around them is a bit too supportive in terms of accepting their methods or lies. Even when they need a particular set of skills, the person with those skills happens to be just around them. Now, I don't know if this is how the book is too, because if that's the case, then there is a bit of a content vibe to this series rather than a literature vibe. Why don't you guys, if you have read these books, tell me if the series is a bit too casual? Because then these tales are definitely going to be watched on Netflix and not read. Ending with some positives here, the main positives are definitely the screen presence of Mirren, Brosnan, and Kingsley. They bring a certain class and charisma to the proceedings. The comedy that is written into the script works, albeit in patches. The next positive is definitely the English village vibes that I'm personally a huge fan of, and even if it is minimal here, I'm happy to have consumed it. A good old English mystery conjures up a very welcoming set of emotions, and I'm glad to have gotten that fix from this film. But that's mostly it for the positives, which is why, for me, the Thursday Murder Club, for which I had a lot of anticipation for, ends up being quite underwhelming. It is a film that I believe Netflix and the producers wanted to be almost ambient in nature, where it sets a mood, but it is not inherently very engaging. Not something that is unwatchable, but definitely it can be skipped owing to the plethora of options available. Once again, my name is Kishore Ganesh. This is the Vocal About Visuals podcast, and thank you, my dear listeners and viewers, for your time and for listening and viewing.